Naruto, why is it such a brilliant anime? Anime that teaches about love. We all have our own favorite anime, movie, TV series or manga. Some of them entertain us, others help to brighten up the evening, but there are also those that leave an impact on our hearts. This is because their authors, they could be writers, mangaka or directors, they were able to touch something personal in us. They used their idea to create something that our souls can understand very well. Such works have resonated with us as viewers, and we in turn return to them with gratitude in the saddest and most troubling moments of our lives. One of these works for me is the anime series based on the Naruto manga. This is because this series was watched by me at a certain age when I could directly associate myself with the main character. His adventures fascinated me, and challenges and difficulties Naruto faced and the way he overcame them motivated me to step out of my comfort zone. You know, some cartoons, anime series or movies remain forever as a pleasant memory for us. And after a while, when you come back to them, it's very difficult to wonder if the story you loved so much as a child or a teenager was really that good. That's why I delayed analyzing the Naruto anime for a long period of time. Today, I would like to close this question and try to understand what this anime is really about. Why Naruto anime was loved by millions of children and teenagers around the world. And whether this series can be considered a unique shonen, whose author stayed true to himself and his story from beginning to end. Naruto is the first and foremost the story of an orphan boy who has a very difficult background. Moreover, he never really had any friends around because the whole village was trying to avoid him. Driven by a desire to prove everyone wrong about him, Naruto Uzumaki decides to become a Hokage, the head of his village. However, facing cruelty and injustice on his path, learning the complexity and changeability of this world, the young man eventually realizes that in order to achieve his true goal, he has to change the whole world. He faces very difficult circumstances and meets antagonists who deserve his sympathy and compassion, whose fate exactly as his has never been easy. All this only makes him stronger. The world in which Naruto lives is a world of shinobi. These are ninja warriors who live in military settlements and are trained from childhood in the skills needed to complete any tasks. This is a world that exists in fact under military laws. It is a violent place in which the shinobi must first and foremost follow orders and follow their destiny, regardless of the bonds they build with other shinobi. Considering the fact that in the very DNA of this world there is a system of killing and constant battle. The main characters of the Naruto anime and manga have to face all the cruelty and injustice of the world they dream of being part of. And this problem lies in the core of the entire manga. The question is, what motivates the characters and what they are willing to do to achieve their goal? We are talking about the duty to serve their village at all costs and no matter what, regardless of the interpersonal bonds they have already formed with other people. The idea of the power of friendship and the support of loved ones to achieve one's goals, which has already become a classic of any good shonen, is revealed in the Naruto universe in the best possible way. Given the fact that the world of shinobi denies and rejects connection of any kind, the basis of its philosophy is individualism. It is a world of loners who most often draw their strength from their own anger, hatred and rage. In fact, the whole Naruto universe is built around anger and hatred as the main driving force. In the world in which Naruto Uzumaki begins his journey, anger is identified with physical, psychological and military power. And the character who most vividly embodies this very idea is naturally Sasuke. Sasuke, like the rest of the Uchiha clan, fundamentally draws his strength from the anger and pain they experience in their lives from the tragedies of loss. It is very easy to prove it, because when Sasuke has nothing to be angry about and nothing to hate, he feels lost and confused. This is due to the fact that in his own eyes he cannot imagine himself without anger, which is like an engine that allows him to go forward and achieve his goals. Anger as the main driving force is at the core of every antagonist in the Naruto anime and manga to one degree or another. They each carry the baggage of loss, tragedy, injustice and pain, which however doesn't justify their actions. They provoke a feeling of rage that sets off a chain reaction. Zabuza can't allow himself to express feelings, as shinobi in his opinion are only senseless tools. Gaara is a lonely, neglected boy who has been considered a monster by everyone since he was a child. Obito is blinded by the death of his girlfriend. He has also been led astray by Madara. Madara himself, Orochimaru, and Pain, each of them is driven by anger to one degree or another. However, if it is hatred that drives evil intentions into Kishimoto's world, for what reason does the protagonist himself often use it in duels and to achieve his own goals? How is it the main character literally has the power of the demon within him who embodies rage itself? The answer lies in this scene.
俺たちが呪われた世界に生きている限り、そんなものありはしない。なら俺がその呪いを解いてやる。平和ってのがあるなら、俺がそれを掴み取ってやる。今のは全部この本の中のセリフだ。最後にこの本を書くヒントをくれた弟子のことが書いてあった。あんたの名前だ、長門。
The strength of the plot, the story of the Naruto anime and manga, is that the protagonist acts as a reflection of the villains he encounters. He confronts them physically or psychologically. Naruto resembles each of them in one way or another. It is because of this similarity that he shows understanding and compassion for them. By understanding and sharing their anger and rage, Naruto himself learns to overcome his dark side. Every clash in Kishimoto's world is not just a fight or a battle, but a battle of philosophies and attitudes, just like a dialogue. A good example would be the scene in which Nagato is defeated, and Naruto forgives him for the same reason. Not blindly, but by understanding his pain and sharing his anger. With each victory, Naruto gets closer to achieving his own goal, not so much due to the very fact of victory and overcoming difficulties, but because each new opponent helps him to know the world better. Thus, Naruto understands the rules of life, tests his beliefs and finds new ways to gain strength. This is an alternative to the hatred imposed by the shinobi system itself. In fact, the system is the true villain in the Naruto world. However, Naruto's goal is not just competing and fighting. It's more about finding damaged fates and trying to either save them or make the most of his experience with such a person, in order to figure out how to prevent such a thing from happening next time. Then, when he himself becomes a Hokage gaining power, he will be able to change the whole system. When Zabuza asks Naruto to be quiet, when Gaara confesses that he also carries a demon within him, or when Pain expresses his feelings right in the middle of a fight, these are the moments when the real battle begins for Naruto, as each opponent forces him to expand his understanding of the world and use his empathy towards those around him. This is why at the beginning of his arc, Naruto is presented as a very selfish and arrogant guy. Rage and hatred are shown very vividly in him. He needs to work on his beliefs in order to change and evolve. This is why his relationship with Sasuke, who as I said before is a reflection of anger and rage, is the main focus of the story. Their dynamic from being friends to enemies is based on the fact that Sasuke accepts no other driving force than rage. And any close relationship, in his opinion, can only make him weaker, while Naruto cannot afford to spit on his friend, even at the moment when he is forced to fight him. Because by spitting on him, he will automatically give up everything he believes in. But what does ultimately drive Naruto? And why is it so important for him to stay close to his friends, or empathize with his enemies? The only thing that can overcome his anger and help him deal with it, according to Masashi Kishimoto, is love. And this love for the world and people is the foundation upon which the main character is built. It's what allows him to be empathic, to build the very interpersonal relationship that are despised in the shinobi world. In essence, Naruto is a story about the battle of hatred and anger against love and compassion. It is parental love as an example that saves Naruto in those moments when anger and hatred consume him. Itachi told Naruto that by becoming a Hokage, he will not earn the respect of people, but by earning the respect of people, he can become a true Hokage. And it perfectly makes sense. The lesson Itachi teaches Naruto is to remind him that he is not alone in his adventure, and that people around him really matter. However, love in Kishimoto's world is not something that comes by itself. Naruto has been deprived of love, and the hardest of challenges he has to overcome is finding the strength to love again the people who rejected him. To love a world that is mired in cruelty, which is full of enemies who are trying to kill him. The ability to express and share love in the shinobi world is a great power that only a few use. So, in order to defeat his enemies, he must not simply apply the right ability or power, but remember that despite all the anger and hatred his enemies feel toward the world, love still lives in their hearts. Zabuza and his relationship with Haku, Gaara, who literally wrote the word love on his forehead, and Nagato, who is bound to Naruto by the love of the same master. So Naruto's main goal is changing the whole world and breaking the system, stopping war and the cycle of hatred and opening people's eyes to seemingly obvious things that have been lost after years of suffering and pain. But how does Naruto manage to win in an unequal battle? How can he go against his own destiny? After all, it's not enough for Naruto to defeat his opponent. Ideally, he always wants to change the mind of his opponent, to help him in some way. As we've already found out, Naruto is a compassionate and sympathetic hero. But what makes him a truly powerful one is the way he uses compassion. Whereas the antagonists transform love into anger, Naruto, on the contrary, transforms love out of his own hatred. Because Naruto knows how to forgive. It is through this seemingly simple solution that he changes the world. Regardless of morality, logic or other factors, whatever happens, Naruto will forgive. It's the way that character sees the world. The way he treats people like enemies or friends, it's all his own way of thinking. And this ability triggers a reverse cycle every time, from hatred to love. He lives, changes the world view of his friends and enemies, and they in turn affect their own environment. He even found a common language with a demon, who is the embodiment of the very concept of anger in the world of Naruto. Forgiveness is the pathway to transformation. It is Uzumaki's greatest strength. So, talking with his dark side, realizing that the pain and anger he experienced helped him become who he is, shaping himself by forgiving himself for his evil deeds, that is how the hero becomes stronger. This is the main difference between Naruto, his vision of the world, and those ideas proposed by antagonists, by Sasuke, Pain, Madara or Obito for example. They support the idea of plunging the world into eternal sleep, possessing weapons capable of supporting the world in a violent way, or destroying all Kage. These are solutions that pose loneliness, fear and anger as synonymous to power. But what the protagonist wants to achieve is the real transformation of the world through forgiveness and acceptance. Is it possible to call Kishimoto's story problem-free and perfect? No, of course not. But long plot arcs, unfinished female characters and many other problems nevertheless do not spoil the perception of the story and do not affect the themes and the message that mangaka put into his work. Naruto is a story about love and friendship, hatred and loneliness, about accepting other people and the world around you. It's about each of us needing to work on ourselves and our worldview and not forgetting about the people around us. Because without them and their help, without our love for these people, it's very easy to lose our own reference point and become a new antagonist. Naruto finds himself face to face with pain and loneliness. I hope you enjoyed the video and some of my thoughts touched something warm in your heart. If you share my opinion, write about it in the comments. And also, tell me what you think about this topic in general. Subscribe and don't miss my new cool videos about Naruto anime. Bye everyone!